Short form content is no longer king, and there's a better way to build trust as an entrepreneur or expert. My name's Henry Sims, and for the past 9 years, I've been behind the scenes helping entrepreneurs in over 30 industries build personal brands that position them as the authority without having to be 24/7 content creators. In this video, I'll share with you what's happening to short form content and the highest leverage activity that you can be doing right now to future-proof your business. So the first problem that we need to address is the algorithm. And if we go back in time and look at how these social platforms began and how they recommended content to us, it was by us following an account, and then the platform would serve us content from those accounts that we followed. That was the only way that it knew how to serve us content that we wanted to see. But over the years, these platforms have been accumulating more data than we can even fathom. It understands what content we are clicking on, what content we're watching the longest, what content leads us off the platform or to disappear and stop watching content. And it has been averaging out all of this data to be able to predict what we want to see and when we want to see it. So the algorithm is just a predictive technology that has gone from purely showing us stuff that we follow to now knowing what kind of topics we're interested in, what kind of creators, and being able to recommend content that is performing to other people like us and recommend it to us to better the odds of us staying on the platform. Because the longer that people stay on the platform and watch content, the more money these platforms make because they get to serve more ads and make more money. But the problem with most of these short form platforms like TikTok and Instagram is that when we go on them and we are looking through, we are scrolling through random content. We don't tend to go in there and search for something that we want to see. We go in there and we are served random things. And this is called interruption marketing. It's hoping that when it lands in front of us and kind of interrupts what we're doing, that we'll be interested in it. So it is all predictive, and the platform is trying to guess what will best capture our attention. But the problem with that is that because these platforms are optimizing for watch time and engagement for the masses where they make the majority of their money, usually they're optimizing content that is much more big dopamine hitting content than what we typically get with our business content that converts viewers of our dream clients into actual clients. It's very hard to compete when you've got business content that is applicable to your very niche avatar and have that compete against the prank wars and any big news blast and all of these other things that create big responses across the masses. But as a business, as an entrepreneur and an expert, we want to create niche content that serves a very specific avatar because that's how we build true trust with that individual and can work with them moving out from just that video view. So we don't want to get sucked into trying to compete on these big mass market viral topics and dilute our messaging and our expertise to try and get more viewership. There's another way that we can optimize what we're doing in the highest leverage way possible. Now, I really want you to be discovered by your perfect ideal client right for you. So I built a brand launch guide that gives you the first few key areas to really get your brand launched with the right trajectory. And you can access it by clicking the link in the description below. Now, the second factor that we need to consider is what does it take in 2 days' time to gain our clients' trust? And Google did a big study, which is absolutely fantastic. And Google is going to have more data than anyone because everyone is on there searching for solutions, searching for products. Google Analytics is installed across the majority of websites online, so they know our buying behaviors. And out of this study for buying behavior, they came up with something called the the 7-11-4 rule. And what this rule states is that on average, it takes about 7 hours of media consumption over 11 touch points and 4 locations before someone makes a buying decision. That's 7 hours to get someone to a buying decision. Now, the reason why I bring this up is because all of the platforms out there, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, whatever it is, they're saturated. I know that. I'm not arguing against it. They are saturated. There's tons of content, there's tons of creators, there's tons of users. And to share some of those stats with you, Facebook has 3.07 billion monthly active users. Instagram is 3 billion. YouTube is 2.58 billion. And TikTok is 1.99 billion. That's a ton of users. So the problem with these short form platforms is that if we need to get our ideal prospect to see 7 hours of our media, a short form piece of content at 10, 30, maybe 60 seconds, it's going to take a lot of those to be consumed to actually get towards those 7 hours. And that's banking on the fact that they're even going to see each of our videos, which isn't usually the case. So we end up putting a lot of effort into making a short form video that's 30, 60 seconds, hoping that it will go to all of our audience and our ideal client, and that by the next time we make a video, they see it again. And the odds are they won't. So what's the best way that we can build authority moving forward? I've shared a little bit about how the algorithm works and how, because of the masses, it tends to promote very dopamine heavy hitting, irrelevant content to the kind of content that we need to create as entrepreneurs and experts. And I've also shared that it's not the best asset to create to help build towards those 7 hours of media consumption. So my answer is that we need to be creating YouTube long form content. And here's why. The first part is YouTube isn't as much of an interruption marketing platform as all of the others. It's much more of a search marketing platform. So the users of YouTube are actually looking for something. It's much more common behavior that when you go to YouTube, you're actually searching for what it is that you want to see. And even not on YouTube, you could search for a solution, search for an answer to a problem on Google, and Google will recommend YouTube videos that answer that question. So you're not trying to play the virality game to be seen and recommended on the platform, because YouTube knows what people are searching, they know what you're making, and they pair it together for that niche viewer and ideal customer relationship. And then not only are you getting seen, but those views are a much higher intent viewer than if it was to randomly stumble across somebody else in their feed as they're scrolling. The second part to why we should focus on YouTube long form content is because, again, if we're fighting to just get seen, why would we make one video that gains 30 seconds towards those 7 hours when we could fight for the same view, but instead be rewarded with 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes of watch time towards those 7 hours? It gets, with each video, we get closer and closer by multiples to those 7 hours towards that buying decision than any short form piece of content can. And then kind of a bonus point here, each time that we make a video on YouTube, its shelf life is so much longer than any other short form piece of content. When we make a piece of content on Instagram or Facebook, we might have 24, 48 hours before it kind of dies off. So we've put all this effort into providing value and putting this piece of content out there just for it to last 48 hours. Whereas with YouTube, each video is a compounding asset towards your ability to be discovered, because as someone searches for that particular piece of content, that topic, that solution that you're providing, YouTube serves it to them. So you can make a piece of content today that will still be shown years down the road. And so that's why, versus short form content, YouTube long form content is the highest leverage activity that we can be doing right now to build authority and future-proof our business. So if you liked this video, subscribe for more discussions on how to engineer your identity. And if you'd like to work together, then the link to my website is also in the description below.